on. I know how much hard work you put into this and putting this all together, and it's definitely one of the things I look forward to just during this time and getting to talk some ball and getting to learn from other people. It's been the one saving grace during this fortunate time here. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
To
yeah, appreciate you. Thank you very much.
no, it's been an honor. But today I'm going to do a talk on concept based vertical passing. Um, so it's something kind of near and dear to my heart. And I know there's people in here from all different type of philosophies and offenses, but yeah, I feel like it's something that can apply to any offense because at some point in time, whether you're a four-wide spread 'em team or if you're a downhill run team, you're going to need to stretch a team vertically to make them honor that part of the field. So today I'm going to kind of talk about our philosophy and what we believe and how we approach teaching our vertical passing game. So a little bit about me. I'm the office coordinator, quarterbacks coach at St. John Bosco down in LA. So to follow up Coach Calfusi and talking about the beautiful weather and all that stuff out here. So it hasn't been too bad during this time. I really can't complain. But our philosophy and kind of what we're all about. We're blessed with a great deal of talent and some great, phenomenal players, and that allows us to do some really phenomenal and amazing things, with that talent. But I have been at some other stops where, the talent wasn't, like what we have at Bosco. And, some of these concepts have been kind of tried and true and things I've carried with me from school to school and have been things that I can apply to, really any offensive talent that you have, because, when it boils down to the teams you're playing are relatively, similar to what you are. And at some point in time, they're going to have to honor you throwing the ball down the field, again, depending on whatever your philosophy may be. But, I'm going to talk today about two major concepts that we work our vertical passing game off of. Everyone runs, these similar plays, smash and verticals, but talk about how we teach it and some of the tags and some of the ways that we use our tags to tag different coverages and our teaching philosophy off of it. But our concept-based vertical passing, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put athletes in space. That's the number one thing we're trying to do. The number one thing is, find your best, people within your system, and you have to be able to adapt your concepts to fit your personnel. So whoever you're trying to create that shot for, motion them, shift them, move them, put them in different formations to get those guys, in those favorable situations to take advantage of their skill set and what they do well. And, you have to make defenses honor the entire field, vertically and horizontally. There's plenty of things we do in the run game to make sure people honor the box, but we feel with concept-based vertical passing, we're able to make people, honor the vertical and horizontal space while keeping things, simple for us. One thing we talk a lot about in our offense is banking reps, just trying to get as many reps of your base offense so you have something to come home to. I've done talks before about game planning and stuff and doing self-scouts. And, a lot of times as you're doing self-scouts, you find tendencies, and tendencies aren't necessarily a bad thing, because if you have tendencies as an offense, that typically means you're pretty good at doing something. And, we feel like if you have simple answers within your base offense and what you do, you can continue to stay with your tendencies and still run things because you have tags, you have different things of how you read your plays. There are simple rules for your quarterback, for your offensive line, for your receivers, just so that you can keep running what you do well, despite what the defense is going to throw at you. It's just some of the answers that we have to always account for is, what's our middle of the field open and close plan? So when they're one versus two high versus no high, how are we going to attack those different looks? How are we going to attack when teams pressure us, and how are we going to attack when teams drop back into coverage? And we feel like within our concept vertical passing, we have answers to all that. And instead of putting in a new concept, which would, take away practice reps and take away things from other things you run in your base offense, we feel like taking our base offense and tagging things and running, just our rules versus what we're seeing, our kids can execute better. Because when it boils down to it, today's game is about big plays and turnovers. I mean, really what we're trying to do is we're trying to maximize the amount of big plays that we can create, and then limit our turnovers. And I feel like if it's something that we run well we know inside and out. It's something that it's our part of our base. We've seen the looks that we could possibly get off of it, and we can make great decisions, put the ball in great spaces. Guys are used to executing, the same protection, the same routes versus different, looks that they're getting, and we can execute at a high level in order to be explosive without, risking, a lot. And that's one of the big things about, the old adage of, you throw a football, only three things that happen, two of them are bad. We don't feel like that's the case for us, because we've repped through so many situations that, we're not going to drop footballs because it's something that we do every single day, and we're not going to throw picks because we've seen all the looks that could possibly be thrown at us, and we've repped it more than a team can defend it versus us. And that's kind of our philosophy of how we approach our vertical passing game. So the first concept I'm going to talk about is our smash concept. So within our smash concept, I'm not going to talk too much about the smash concept itself. I'm kind of going to get straight into the tags that we run here. But basically, our smash concept, it's our high and our low. We've run it with a variety of different routes on the outside, receiver. And, whether it be a 5-yard snap out, whether it be a hitch, whether it be a whip return, kind of your choice to what you want to do is up to you. But the way we teach it is, we teach it with a hitch and a corner route. Our hitch, the reason why I see the dotted line is as the quarterback works his eyes away, and if you don't get the hitch right away, you can retrace back inside to give your quarterback another check down to work to keep the high-low on the linebackers, to keep people out of your scissors window on the backside. Our corner ball, our major aiming point is the pylons. If we're outside the 25-yard line, we're going to aim for the front pylons. If we're inside the red zone, we'll be reaching for that back pylon. The major thing is clearing through that first level of defender here, and getting back on your landmark and restacking that defender as quick as you can to get on the safety's toes. We don't give our guys a yardage marker. We kind of give them a range to work with. So our corner ball is going to work from about 10 to 15 yards. The biggest thing is we want these guys with open strides, and we want these guys pushing vertically and get these guys on the safety's toes before he makes that break. And one of the major coaching points here on the corner ball is as you're making that break, you really want to take 2 or 3 steps towards your pylon to make sure you keep that angle high. The one thing we really want to avoid is running that flat corner angle and really smashing that concept down and making it easy for that corner to defend. So really aiming high and then expecting the ball to be flattened out if that safety's still over top of you. And if there's nobody over top, expecting that ball to be up and over to the outside. On the backside, our scissors concept, we're taking a corner route to really occupy and take the safety out of the equation. And what we're really trying to do is grab that safety and yank them out of there. So as we're talking about progression and making our receivers understand where they fit, that slot receiver's really got to grab that safety. He's got to go first. The way we work our scissors is we delay our outside receiver. And we've done this a couple of different ways, but today I'm going to show you our stem post, we call it. So we've done it before with a hitch delay, and then he takes the middle of the field. We've done it with a snag or spot type angle where he spots up on the linebacker and then jumps over top in between. But the whole idea is basically we're trying to horizontally stretch these safeties, and we're trying to put 3 safeties on this too high shell. So what we're doing here on this release is we're stemming underneath to allow the H to get ahead of us to grab that safety. And then we're going to get into a trail position and stem underneath him and outside. And as he sticks his route, we're going to work our break and shave right off of his back and work as high an angle as possible. As we're seeing any type of safety over top of us, we have the ability to flatten this thing out to still maintain open grass and get us into an open window. Our back is going to be check releasing. We're a half slide, half man team. So he'll be going through his 1-2 check, and he'll be releasing on his linebacker and breaking out to create the high-low stretch on the linebacker right here. So that's our rules for the receivers. Our O-line protection, typically if we don't have any type of indicators of where blitz is coming from, we'll slide away from our back, basically working a 3-2 slide, and our back will check his 1-2 on his man side. And this will give us a nice strong backside to come through when we reset our eyes back to our scissors concept. For our quarterback, this concept is meant for 2 high coverages. It's our open, coverage plan. So we're really looking to attack the horizontal portion of this play vertically. And that's kind of the major coaching point we're looking for. And what I'll tell our quarterbacks is, you're alert, and if you can take an easy, 6 to 8 yards and you got an off corner, go ahead and take it. But if this area is gray at all, go ahead and just check it real quick as you're getting back in your drop. But we're really looking to put that stretch on the free safety and the weak safety. So really trying to work the top part of the coverage, if we get the look that we're planning for, which is middle of the field open. Kind of the thing we talk about is this is the concept for a quarterback. To abandon your concept, you better be ready to risk it all, and you better be ready to get a good chunk before you take away and bypass our concept. So it's kind of our rules for it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. I'll answer it before I get to film. But if not, we'll go right to the clips of it. So this right here is just our alert soft corner right here to the smash side and to the boundary. So we're just going to take it right now. All right, quarterbacks can also cut their drop down to get that ball a little bit quicker out there. But as we're getting here, corners bailing, inside leverage for the overhang right here. So we can just take an easy 6 yards on this on first down and get into a good schedule to move on. Next clip right here, quarterback does a really good job of freezing that corner. He's really the conflict player that's in between both those routes. There's no safety help over top. So really what the quarterback does a good job here is manipulating the corner's eyes here to make him jump the low ball before he jumps back over top and throws the corner ball. So he sets his shoulders and eyes real quick just to get this guy to freeze. And with no safety help over top, he's able to spot that ball to the corner. Okay, this is where we're getting the horizontal stretch here. So we got a low corner, so there's nothing easy for the hitch right here. Our scissors is coming from the boundary side. So whenever we're working the read for the quarterback, he's going to work the safety away from where the post is coming from. So he's going to read the safety on this to work the corner ball or that delay post, that stem post back underneath. So as that safety, if he honors number 2 on the corner ball, he's going to work the high to low on the backside. If the safety were not to honor the corner ball at all, he would work the high-low on the front side. So on this look right here, safety's got his hips turned by his crossover step. So as he opens and crosses, he needs to make a decision right at this stage of whether or not he's going to stay with this smash concept or move backside to work his scissors back to his check down. So as he sees the hips turn, eyes are heavy on number 2. He knows that he's going to carry on. Basically, at this stage of the drop, you're usually taking a snapshot as a quarterback. What you're really trying to do is just trying to predict the future of what's going on. So as he sees the hips and eyes, he knows he's going to continue on with this corner ball, which is going to open up this space for the backside to work. As you work the scissors concept on the backside, you see the receiver on the outside is stemmed underneath. He's trailing slightly outside and behind. That's basically the alignment and the stagger that you want. So slightly outside, trailing a man, so that make sure that the slot receiver grabs the safety's attention before. So as you see right through here, safety gets his hip turned. We have an open area to take a high angle post, and now we can layer a ball right between the linebackers or right over the linebackers. So he spots it right between the windows, and we're able to split the defense and go. Okay, next look. This is coming from scissors here on the right side, smash on the boundary side. So again, we're getting the look that we want. Corner's low, so we're not going to alert that hitch ball right here. We're going to read the safety away from where the scissors is coming from. So as we open and cross, we're seeing eyes heavy on number 2. Hips are turning out toward the corner ball. So this is going to alert us to work back behind to work the scissors here. Quarterback has his eyes glued on a little too long, so he needs to get off that a little bit sooner. So if he's able to get off that sooner, he's going to be able to spot that window where he's going to fit that thing between linebackers. So really what you're looking for here is you come out of the scissors. If there's anybody over top, this receiver can bend this thing flatter. Since he's yanking out with them, he can angle the thing a little bit higher and keep that angle there. So ideally, we'd want to spot this ball between these 2 linebackers. We're able to hold protection a little bit longer. That safety really yanks out with the opposite corner ball. So we're able to replace them and put that ball back on the opposite hash. That's a little bit late for my liking. Ideally, we really want to spot this ball closer to the slightly inside the hash to the middle of the field. It's kind of that pocket that you're looking to hit this ball into. And if he has to wait any longer, if he hitches any longer, he'd be working to one of his 2 checkdowns if those windows were closed and he didn't have anything to work up top. Okay, it's scissors coming from the left side, smash on the right. So we're in a long situation. We have the look we want. So we could take the hitch here, but ideally we have the look we want up top. So we're going to work the horizontal stretch up top. So as we work the corner ball, we're seeing pretty glued on right here with the slot receiver on the corner. So he's going to work his eyes back to the scissors concept. As we see here, we couldn't grab the safety with our slot receiver corner. So instead of breaking at a higher angle, he flattens this thing out to keep himself from running into a big hit. If he continues on that angle, he's going to be a hospital ball. So by flattening him out into this open grass right through the middle, he's able to place it into a window where we can run after catch. So he splits right there, and that's the ideal location where we're trying to hit this thing, slightly inside the hash to the middle of the field. So as you see, quarterback is working opposite side, works his eyes across to the opposite safety, and then resets and comes back over. Let's see if there's any comments here. So the chat says, how does a low corner affect this concept? Also, if the safety has stayed square and not chosen a route, would have been the same? Would the read been the same? So a low corner, it really isn't going to affect our how we read this concept very much. We're just really going to work the top part of the coverage if we're seeing that low corner. If the safety has stayed square and we see grass to fit that corner ball in there, we're going to throw it. Basically, as we're seeing that window, if they're playing like a cover 2 look where safety staying on the hash and that corner staying low, we'll fit that ball out there. So basically, if he doesn't make a decision, we're going to throw it to open grass. So basically, as we cross over, the quarterback is looking to the window where that corner ball is going to fit. And, if he can get it, if he has favorable leverage by his crossover step, he'll reset and throw that corner ball. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, another question, how do you practice this concept of making reads? For instance, the X coming underneath compared to the post. How much practice time does that take? So really the beautiful thing about this play is it's a progression read. So you're just going from your corner ball to your post ball back down underneath. So really the major thing you're working for the post is just, is there grass for me to take the vertical portion, or do I need to flatten it out? And it goes into the base rule of our offensive philosophy. So we're always trying to bend things and run things at open grass. And, it does take some time to practice it, but, as guys are used to seeing what they're running into, they're going to bend things into the open window where things are at. And, there really isn't a lot of variability off of that. You're either going to keep it high or you're going to throw it back underneath. And all the quarterback is looking for anyways is where the defenders, and you're trying to throw opposite of them. So as you guys are both looking at the same thing, you guys will connect to the same piece of space. So that work can be done just simply within your routes on air. And typically what we do in our routes on air is our coaches will play the defenders and we'll give them the varied looks that we're going to get for that week. Whereas we're installing it, we'll give them these 2 variations, either, safety getting yanked out, we can keep the angle high, or the safety staying on the landmark and we have to flatten the thing out. So really it takes, you're talking about 3 to 4 reps every single day as you're starting from spring ball this summer. And as you practice it in the game week, you're really just working the adjustments off of it. And that kind of goes back to the philosophy of working your concept versus different looks as opposed to putting in new concepts. I think if you put in another concept to affect a coverage, you're having to work a bunch of different variabilities and a bunch of different things that could happen. Whereas if you take your one concept and you apply it to different looks, you can really work all those and legitimately get a chance to rep it versus everything. I hope that answers your question there. So here's another same look here. So as you see, we're getting the same look from the team that we're seeing for this week. Here we were getting that safety that was staying on that hash, not moving off the landmark. So we knew for this week it was going to flatten out quite a bit more. So off a film study, you're going to get a pretty good idea of, are they a matching team that's going to match your number 2 receiver and run out with them? Or are they going to be a team that's going to spot drop and work into spaces as opposed to matching your receivers? So as you get the profile who you're playing, you're going to have a good idea where this route's going to work out. So we knew, they weren't going to match a ton at the top. They were going to stay on their landmarks and keep everything in front of us. So that helped us to pretty much understand for this week, when we're running our scissors play, you're going to bend this thing flatter and work this thing into the middle void between the safeties and over the linebackers. So in a given week, you're usually not going to have to work every variation of every single play. With film study, you're going to have an idea of how they're going to play certain route stems and how they're going to react to routes dispersing around the field. So here it is again. They're over top, so we bend this thing flat. And it ends up being the nickel that ends up playing us. But because he's so deep, you just have to answer the simple question. Can I keep this angle high? If I can, then yes. If not, then bend it flat. So basically, if they cap off your route, just go ahead and snap that thing flat and bend it. So we always work towards the high angle first, and then you can always adjust flatter if need be. Okay, here's one more scissors concept to the right side. Eyes go to the opposite free safety for the corner ball. Corner is relatively pretty low, so we're just going to bypass this because we have the look that we want for the top part of our coverage. Get back to slow-mo here. So open cross, you're reading the opposite safety. And the major thing here is with the quarterback, you really want to make sure the eyes lead the feet. So as you get to your crossover step, if you still don't have a good look for your corner ball, don't keep staring at it. What I tell our quarterbacks, it's just like going to the fridge. You open the fridge once and there's no food in there, and you go back and you're expecting food. There's not going to be food in there. All right. Don't go back to the fridge twice. So if you open the fridge once, there's no food in there, move on, look somewhere else. All right. So in this case, crossover step, the safety still has good leverage. That corner is pretty deep to influence that corner ball. That's not much love for you right here. So go and get your eyes back to the backside. There's your scissors concept, grabbing the way we want. So now we got a good relationship here. All right, our slot receiver is able to get on the safety's toes and yank his eyes. And now we get him in a trail position to open up our scissors route. So now you throw away inside and low, and we're able to run away from that safety. Okay, here's to a check down in this look. So now as you take a look on this, the scissors are coming from the right side. So we're working our eyes to the left first. With corner and safety bailing, there's not a lot of room for that corner ball to be working. So the quarterback's going to work his eyes back to the middle of the field for the scissors concept. He sees collision right here by the overhang. So anytime he gets collision and knocked off course, all right, you got to fast forward and move on to your next progression. Since he's heavy on the scissors concept, all right, it's going to alert your eyes right back to the check down. All right, our next tag that we have off of our smash concept is our double post. So we use this as another variation to beat two high coverages. Match our question quick. Is there a reason you run scissors concept to the field versus the boundary? Main thing we're looking for is what safety can we get to yank out? Is there a certain safety that we can really get to yank out with our corner ball? That's one of the biggest things we're looking for. Because if we feel like we can get that safety to pull open, we'll have all that space vacated back behind him. So that's kind of usually what dictates, where we call it from the field or to the boundary. If all things are equal and there's no real advantage either way, I would probably prefer to open up our smash concept to the boundary and then give up a little more space for the scissors concept to the field. That's an ideal world, but the number one thing that guides it from the field or the boundary is really what corner route can we yank the safety with. I mean, that's really, we're trying to create space for the scissors concept there. So smash double posts. So our double post concept, we're really trying to put the safety in the mind and really trying to put him in not just a horizontal, but a vertical stretch too as well. And, really trying to open up and make that corner have to honor this deep space too as well. This look, we prefer versus two high, but we can still run it versus one high. Just as one high happens, typically you're going to see one of two things. You're going to see an off corner in which it would alert you probably taking a nice easy hitch, or you'd see man coverage where you definitely alert your corner ball and be able to work that. If we got the look that we want with too high, we can get our eyes fast forwarded right to the double post side, reading the inside post to the outside post. So our smash rules are still the same here on the front side, and our tag right here would tag these two receivers on a bender post, a big post, and then a flat control route from either your back or coming from a shallow concept with your X receiver being the shallow, the low check down, and your back replacing them. So either way, we're going to get some sort of high-low concept on this side and then some sort of horizontal and vertical stretch on this free safety on this backside. The way we teach our routes, our bender post has got to break first. That's the biggest thing. So as we get the stem of this route, you really want to make sure you get on the safety as quick as possible. We don't want to be messing around with this underneath defender very much. Really want to get the conflict defender. You want to get 2 routes in his space and make him have to choose. All right, so as we stem this thing, we want to get on his inside leverage of his body, and we want to snap this thing at 8 to 10 yards. So just basically get on that safety's toes and yank him flat. All right, the biggest thing is making sure these angles are at different spaces here, making sure they're not in the same space at all. The outside receiver, we're giving him a big post, so you definitely got to make this thing a full stride, open this thing up. We want to ideally get an inside stem on this corner, and as you get to the top of your route, slightly widen him, or if you're getting a bail corner, get into his blind spot to really open him and get him to expand so you can get your angle to work across the field. The main thing we're trying to get here is we want to keep this angle high and skinny and get this thing way over top of this right here. Question here, what would dictate you calling double post over scissors? So a major thing that we would probably see is this backside safety not honoring our corner ball. So if he's not honoring our corner ball, I would rather put our slot receiver just inside and bend it right now. And that way we're able to hit this window right now. If we're able to get this safety to yank out with our corner ball, I would probably get me into the scissors world a little bit more. If that makes any sense. So it really depends on how the safety is playing our slot receiver. So that's really the number one thing that's going to dictate that. That's a great question. So read-wise for our quarterback, if he's getting the prime look that he's looking for, he can fast forward his eyes right to the double post side safety. And he's looking for the bender right now on rhythm. So as he hits his third step, trying to hit it right off his last step. If he needs a reset to buy extra time for the receiver to get open, he has that. But by the time he gets to a reset, he either needs to be working back to the outside post ball or thinking about checking this ball down. So here we have a 2-high look. I really like this look off of stacks. So we jump into stacks to get some sort of stack check off of this. A lot of times teams will either play you in some sort of 2-man, banjo game, or they'll get you in some sort of cover 2, or they'll play you in some sort of line check where they're either going to play point man on the point man, back man on the opposite, or they're going to play the point man on the back man. Either way, we're going to be able to get one of these 2 routes open versus any of those stack checks. As we run it in stack, we would want to get our slot receiver stemming inside, grabbing that safety, and then bending it flat, and then expanding this guy and really giving him a lot to think about here. Off of this same stance and alignment, we would run vertical, we would run out routes, we would run shallow routes. So making that stem as similar as possible to make this guy have to honor all the routes that we run off of those stems. So the 2-high look that we want, our quarterback can fast forward his eyes right to the post side safety and make him wrong by the crossover step, right? See which way he's glued onto. So if you can see here by his crossover step, this safety is pretty glued onto our bender. So he knows he's going to yank with him, which is going to open up all that grass back behind. So as he works the top part of his drop, he's going to reset and work this place the ball away from where his corner is going to be. So if his corner is going to be low and inside, that ball needs to be up and over top. If the corner is playing outside leverage and trying to top the post route, then he can bend it flatter and put it more on his hip or on his body to run it away from coverage here. And on this look, we can see by the top part of the drop, the quarterback is seeing the wide receiver running even with him. So he knows by this time he's going to be able to outrun him, and he's going to be able to put that ball up over top. Okay, double post here to the right side. We have the 2-high look that we want, so we're going to fast forward our eyes right to the post side safety. As he gets to this stage of his drop in the crossover, he sees he's pretty glued onto our slot, so he knows he's going to yank out with him. And now you see the corners leverage with up over top and outside. This ball's got to be more of a line shot on his hip. So if you float this ball up in there, you're going to give this chance for that DB to make a play on it. You want to put that ball always between the receiver and the DB so that the receiver can use his body to shield the throw. So that ball fits inside and more on his body right there. You have a little bit of space to throw this thing across the field. So if we were aiming more towards the R or the A, you can let him run under it and go ahead and chase that ball down and go and get it. That's another location where you can fit that ball. The major thing is just getting away from coverage here at the top. So a real quick question. How do you determine for the QB whether the double post side is glued to the bender post rather than the deeper post? Is it a landmark or is it eyes? So it's two major things. So it's his depth and where the angles of hips are. So, it's a combination of the two. So if the DB is really, really deep and his hips are square and he can transition and still get over top of the post ball, then you obviously throw your bender ball. If he's more flat-footed, then he's going to have a hard time getting to that post ball because that post ball is going to strike at about 35 to 45 yards. So really it's how well can that defender transition to get into that window. So for instance, if his hips are square versus hips are turned outside versus the outside post, that would help to give you an indicator of whether to work the bender. So if his hips are more square, he can trigger and take that bender, and that would open up the deep ball. Versus if his hips were turned, you should be able to cross that face with the bender and throw the inside post. Because his hips are outside, you should be able to work away from where his hips are turned. Because as we're getting to our drop, eyes will help us because eyes are typically going to tell us who he's reading off of and who he's going to trigger off of. But it really is the depth, the width, and where his angles of his hips are turned. And really what you're trying to teach your quarterback is, when we watch film of a certain concept and we're scouting an opponent, what we do is as we get to the stage where he has to make the decision, we pause the film. So open cross. So we get to this stage of the film and we get to see how well they're able to transition from this snapshot of what you'd be seeing in game time. So that's the decision, that's the trigger, and that's the picture the quarterback would see live in game time. And if you take a look as you play the clip, you get to see, okay, how is he going to trigger off of that? So as we bend that post, you'll see he triggers right off of that with his hips square. So that'll help you kind of figure out what you're going to get that week for game planning and how they're going to react to your routes and your stems. Okay, here's another stack look here. So in this stack look, they're giving us a two-way banjo off of this. So the reason why I really like double post versus this is because anytime you're getting this look, you just want to take two in and two out. You really want to try to flood a certain side and make one person wrong. So as you take both post routes and they're both running away, one of these guys is going to grab this guy and the other guy's going to have great leverage off of the corner. So that's what makes this concept really, really good versus this type of look. So as you take a look here, excuse me, get back to this right here. So quarterback goes open cross. He sees he's able to grab this right now. All right, so it opens up all that space up over top and inside, all right, for a post ball to land in there. And we knew as they were playing this defense, a lot of times when teams are banjoing you and they're trying to figure out and zone it off and then play off a man, they're going to play a little more tentatively. So as they're kind of shuffling out, trying to figure out, hey, are they going to switch releases? Or they're going to run back outside? This corner is not sure if he's going to have to take him back on an out route, if they're just going to both run vertical. So it puts a lot of doubt and a lot of hesitation to this guy. So we're able to get on his feet, on his toes, and we're able to run by and take off and go. Okay, another stack look off of this. This is versus cover two. So we're able to take our point man and grab this safety right here and yank him across. And then open up the big ball up over top. Here's a look at some bender balls. So our double post is coming from the boundary side. So our safety is inside on the hash and rolling away. So as we're getting into this window, we talked about, we're still going to aim to try to cross the safety's face. But as the safety rolls away, it opens up a lot of space for that bender ball for us. So as we wrap the linebacker right here, it gives us that window right here in the seam where, cover 3 is going to be typically weak for a defense. So he drops right into the window right over top of that linebacker, a nice 2 ball right over there, and layers it right over and gives it right into the seam. And then check down here. So as the team starts to take your post away, what you're going to see is the whole coverage lift off and take off. So as we work our double post concept right here, you're going to see the safety driving up over there for the inside post. This corner has good leverage to work inside, so there's not a lot of love for us inside here. So then work your eyes back down. So in this situation, we ran a shallow check down and an arrow back to the backside. So as quarterback's looking, there's a lot of traffic in here for the shallow ball. So keep moving on and work back to your opposite check down the opposite side. So teams really do have to honor this to take this away. They have to take underneath guys and try to close those windows down. And when that happens, it opens up, great opportunities to work your back and other low, shallow routes for easy throws and easy checkdowns to get that ball out quickly out of your hands. All right, so next I'm going to switch gears to our verticals concepts. Check to see if there's any questions. Nope, we're good. So our vertical concept. So this is our base drop back play. I'll kind of explain to you how we teach it and how we work our routes off of this. So first of all, our outside receivers have the same rules. So our solid lines are where we want to put our landmarks on. So ideally, we're looking to get our outside receivers stacked back on top of the numbers and give that quarterback the box to fade that ball up outside of the numbers. So a QB box, we talk about being from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline to fit that ball onto. So ultimately, our job as an outside receiver is to get restacked and try to pull our arm through to restack ourselves by the bottom of the numbers. So making sure that we don't get faded out and drifted beyond that landmark. The way we read this thing is we have to figure out if we're in man coverage or zone coverage. Typically, if man coverage, you're going to get guys turning towards you. So if you get a man turn, you're going to keep running. You're never going to stop right here. Because typically in a man turn, guys are going to be pretty close to you right here. So in this situation, if they man turn us and face us in, we're going to stay on this landmark, keep our speed up, and our quarterback's going to throw us open. So typically what we're looking for is if that safety is not over top and outside of the hash, we can work the one-on-one matchup outside. All right. If our outside receiver is able to pull his arm through and restack the defender by 8 to 10 yards, that ball goes up and over top. All right. And that ball fades into a window at about 25 to 35 yards, depending on how deep your drop is. If it's a pre-snap look, typically we'll take a 2-step and fade this thing closer to 25 yards. And then if we take a 3-step to have to read it, it's going to push deeper to about 35 yards. All right. Real quick question from Coach Anderson. Do you ever teach true route conversions in this concept? So everything we're doing is reading off of the space that we're getting. So for instance, right now, if we're getting a zone turn and guys are bailing out of the stadium, we'll convert our route to what we call a dropout. We will turn over at 14 yards and then pedal back towards the sideline and expect that ball to throw us back there. So typically we will convert, each route to open space. And each guy will have a rule off of where to bend it to. So I hope that answered your question, Coach. So, for the zone turn, that basically turns back into we're dropping it out if we can't get even with him by 10 yards. If we can close the cushion and get within 4 yards of him, if he's square, and we can get on his toes, we're going to keep this thing going. We're going to run by him. Okay. Our inside receivers, one receiver we're going to designate as a bender to work into the middle space. The other receiver we're going to work and come back and wrap between the linebacker and come back downhill. That way we're not having two guys bend into the same space. Typically, we'll set our left guy as our base day one as our bender, and we can just tag the other receiver with a bender if we want to switch it up. Typically, our H receivers are number 2 in trips and 3x1 concepts, and it makes more sense for the number 2 receiver to bend behind a crosser. So as we're able to get this landmark, if no one's on our landmark by 8 to 10 yards, we can stay right outside of it. And we teach our guys a little bit wider than where we want them to be. So we teach them about 2 yards outside of the hash, knowing that we can bend it back inside to the hash. I felt like when we taught it, bending it right back on the hash, it ended up coming back closer to the free safety. So by kind of teaching the far edge of your route, your receivers will kind of always stay within those parameters. Whereas if you kind of set the line here, they'll never be able to expand outside the hash. So we teach them a 2 yard outside the hash landmark as kind of where we're working for. Our back, we're teaching them to work his option route off of his count. So what we mean by that is if you're the number 3 receiver from the sideline, you're going to find the number 3 receiver or number 3 defender from the sideline. So in this case, the linebacker would be the defender you'd be optioning off of, and you'd be check releasing here, and then working to best space, best area to break off of your hard deck being the 5 yard mark right here, not stretching into this space that belongs to the 4 receivers going downfield. So real quick for the quarterback is progression in his read. So we teach this. We're basically working a across the board progression read, and we're going to work basically from the boundary side to the field side. And you're going to key off of the weak safety that's over top of that 8 to 10 yard hard deck. So in this case, if the safety's rolled down, you're going to get your eyes to the next safety, and we would key off of the free safety off of this. You can alert and pre-snap your outside receivers anytime you're getting that one high safety look. So if you're getting any type of press corner, you can alert that fade ball. Where there's no reading, you're just taking grass and matchup, and you're throwing the thing. If you're getting cover 3, then you can get back into your true read off of the safety or off of this. So typically we're going to key off the safety, thinking about throwing this weak safety, or sorry, this short side seam ball right on time, and then resetting to the field side seam ball, and then resetting to the field side outside receiver back down to your back. So the work would be first 2 steps, trying to figure out if you can fit this ball here on time. If not, reset and work right off of here. And that naturally works a good look off for the free safety. So as we're looking here, if he doesn't move, drill this thing into the seam ball at 15 yards. If he moves, then you're resetting and throwing the seam ball to the opposite side from 20 to 22 yards on the opposite side of the field. As you're getting cover 3, typically you're going to get overlappers. Guys are going to want to try to play the seam outside in. And what we would do in that situation is this receiver would see corner over top. He would drop this thing off, and we'd be able to check this ball back out to the sideline here. Protection right here is the same for us as we went earlier, so I'm not going to go over that right now. So here we're getting 0, sending double edge pressures, walking down. So this is a true pre-snap look. We have what we want. So 2-step, ball ends up at 25 yards. He sees right at this point, he triggers. He's able to pull his arm through the defender, and that's what we call a restack. So as long as he can pull his right arm through the defender, and as the quarterback sees there's no right arm hanging behind the DB, he can go ahead and fit this ball up and over to the outside. So that's your 3 ball arcing up over top. Receiver does a good job of holding the landmark and then fading outside. And that's the biggest thing is when you're figuring out man throws, you always want to use the receiver's back to shield the ball. So if we're restacked, you want to throw that ball over top so he can shield with his back. If he has his arm back behind and he can't pull and restack through, the way you turn your back to the defender is throwing it back shoulder. And our back shoulder throws, it's a little bit of a timing throw. And honestly, not every receiver is going to be a back shoulder type guy. Typically, you're going to be your bigger body type guys, your guys that have a big catch radius and kind of get up and turn around and be athletic with it. But typically, our back shoulder throw, as we're setting up the trigger and throw this ball, our quarterback's typically setting up at about 10 yards or so to throw the back shoulder. And he's going to throw it just slightly ahead of where everything is. So where the DB is and where the receiver is. And as the receiver runs through the zone, that ball will end up back behind him. So it takes quite a bit of feel, but we work it in our pat and go drill every single day as our quarterbacks start to warm up. And it's kind of a feel thing where you're working as you see that back shoulder open up, that arm back behind, you're just trying to replace where the open space is. So cover 0, we're getting blitzing here. So at this point, you can take any one of your 4 matches going vertical. So in this case, our best matchup is actually with our slot receiver up top. And no safety help over top. Everything is low, so he can go ahead and take this thing and fade this thing up. So a 3-step drop will push this ball to about 30 to 35 yards. And by throwing it up and over, he's able to climb the ladder on this. Receiver could also pace this and put it over his outside shoulder, but he felt comfortable going up high pointing this ball, which is fine. Okay, here we're getting a too high look. So opposite safety is on this hash right here. So this, we're going to work our eyes from the boundary side safety and then work our way back over. So we're typically going to work to see if we can get a hole shot or a bender off of the safety. And both these things that are covered, we're going to work back to the field side to work either the dropout route or the vertical ball back down to our check down. So with how wide our safety is here, he's pretty much on the top of the numbers to the boundary side. As long as we can get even with him, we're going to be working bender on this because of the width on this. If he were closer to being on the hash or inside the hash, we would alert the outside ball on this. So in this case, if the safety were standing more closer to the hash and that corner's bailing, we would throw the dropout route back underneath this. So in this look, safety is way outside the hashes. We're able to bend across his face. Quarterback does a good job of anticipating it and throwing this thing in between the linebackers. By his crossover step, he sees that he's way too far outside to defend the bender. So as he resets, the ball's on rhythm. He spots the ball right between both the linebackers. And this next look, they end up rolling to cover 3. So if you look to the boundary side, your safety took off and he's in the middle of the field. So that's where our eyes are going to work to. So on this look, his eyes right on the safety. He leads him right here to the left to see if he can fit the seam window into this spot right here. So by his crossover step, it gets really cloudy with him taking a little while to clear through there. I don't like how he's taking so long. He needs to go there with a little more speed to rip through and get into this window. But by moving your eyes to the left, it opens up the opposite seam. All right, we're able to set up the overhang and release through the outside of him. And now as we reset and hitch, we're even, so we're able to fit this ball back behind. Okay, now we're going to work a dropout ball right here on the boundary side. So it's 3rd and 9 here. So he cuts off a little bit early. But as you take a look, our read is still going to work off of the weak safety. The weak safety ends up rolling away back to the field side. So then that pretty much puts him in a great situation where he has a lot of space back underneath. So as the receiver gets to 8 to 10 yards, he can't close the cushion. He's getting zone coverage with the guys playing square and deep. So he cuts the thing off and makes himself available and open back underneath. So all guys are doing is just running back into open space. And quarterbacks are just going right off of their read. So if that safety would work outside of this, we would work our eyes and continue across. But since he's rolling away from our right side, our eyes will stay on the right side and work one of the 2 receivers off of this. And really all we're doing is, what's this defender going to do? If this defender ends up cutting underneath number 1, it would open up the seam ball for our slot receiver on the right hash. But since he hugs up our slot receiver, it puts a one-on-one situation with nobody underneath to help out for our outside receiver. Here's a look at a field side dropout. So as we're working the boundary side safety, all right, we see everyone off. You're playing like an off man variation with 1 high with the safety up over top. So we're going to work our eyes right to the safety. We're seeing everyone carry off and take off over top of our coverage here. So we're getting zone turn up top. So then you see the receiver cut it off. And as our receivers work, or our quarterback's working his progression here, he's taking a look at the boundary side. We could hit this right now, but he moved on with it. And then as he carries on through progression, he sees capped over top. There's not a lot of room for this. This is a hard back shoulder ball. So let's work it back down to our dropout route to the field side. So the nice thing about the dropout route is if you're getting a lot of zone coverage, it gives you one of your checkdowns back to one of your receivers, especially if they're going to send any type of blitz looks, or if you need your back to protect it a little bit longer to get this ball off. It gives you an extra guy to buy a little bit more time to get this ball away. Here it is back to our back on the check down. So working the boundary safety on this look. We take a little bit too long messing around with the overhang right here to get on the safety's toes. So the quarterback has moved on. So as he works on through progression, he sees everyone lift off coverage. So he works it back down to his check down there. Okay, 3x1 variations. So the nice thing about this is out of 3x1, nothing changes for the quarterback. His read still maintains the same weak safety read and just going from boundary side back to field side. In this coverage and this look, we get to attack a wide variety of coverages here. So a lot of the trips coverage that you're getting where you're going to get some sort of 2-on-1 bracket on one of your guys. So somewhere in trips, someone's going to get doubled. So the beautiful thing about this play is you're going to be able to find that one-on-one matchup. So if they're playing that two-man or cover two look on the backside, it opens up one of the two slot receivers to the field side. If they're playing like a stump or stubby look where you get the triangle over here, that crosser is going to be able to yank out that safety. You're going to get the true one-on-one right here with your number two. So the beautiful thing about this is, based off of the coverage, you're going to be able to find that one-on-one matchup really quickly. If they're playing poach and the safety's playing across to the number three receiver, you're going to be able to work your one-on-one matchups on the backside. If they're putting multiple double teams over, your slot receiver and your outside receivers, then that's going to put your one-on-one matchup back to your running back. So somewhere, some way, shape, or form, you're going to be able to get through your progression. You're going to be able to find a one-on-one matchup where there's a lot of space to work. That's the beautiful thing about the trips variation. So the only major difference here in landmarks is how we teach our crosser. So our crosser route, we teach them as day one as a USM route. So under Sam, over Mike. So he's going to get under the first linebacker, climb up vertical, and then snap this thing across to the far hash. If he sees the safety here sitting on the far hash, he can keep this thing skinnier right through here and make him honor over top so he can snap this thing over. If we're getting any type of man coverage, it's really important that on the vertical portion of this, he works in what we call a stair step, to where he works back outside and really sets this thing up. So when he snaps this thing open, he's open at the right time to run away from coverage right there. So here it is with a fade ball here to the single receiver. So here's our one-on-one matchup. We got the space back behind, no safety help over top. So quarterback can pre-snap this thing, go right to it, and go and take it, because that's where you're typically going to put one of your better receivers, is in that matchup right there. We also run this with our tight ends as the single side vertical. So we tagged him on a corner ball here, him being in the same landmark. And this goes back to a pre-snap read again. We had pre-snap with the safety rolled down. They went corners over. So we had a good matchup here. They ended up playing the outside linebacker man up on him, which gave us an even better matchup. So then we're able to take this on rhythm. So this is strictly off of pre-snap. We're going straight to it. But it's another way you can get into a different formation, show a different look, but make it a simple, easy read for your quarterback to make it consistent. Here's a look at a single side dropout. So with the safety rolling away back to the trip side, here's your one-on-one matchup. And since the overhang is not influencing the throw underneath, he can cut that thing off and we can throw it back underneath to the single receiver. And all is all predicated off of where the weak safety is going. Since the weak safety is helping out towards the three receiver side, you can get your eyes right back to the single receiver and basically play the 2-on-1 game on the overhang. If the corner bails, you're going to throw underneath to this outside receiver. If he bails, the option route will be breaking outside to replace him. And here's one more look, throwing to the single receiver side. So the weak safety over here is cheated way inside the hash. So anytime he's cheated way over side the hash, we see his eyes working across. All right, we know we're going to get a one-on-one matchup here. So anytime we get a man turn, this is either going to turn into a fade ball or it's going to turn into a back shoulder. It really depends on, can we pull his arm through? So as we study the DBs for the week, we want to see, are they going to be more of, guys that are going to try to get you at the line of scrimmage and try to bang you and try to run after, or they're going to be guys that are going to keep a cushion. So you have a pretty good idea of a profile of what you're going to get going into a week. So for this week, we're going to get a guy that's going to play over top and not let us and go ahead and restack this. So by 10 yards, the quarterback still sees the arm on the backside of the DB. So he knows he's got to flip this ball back behind. So the decision's made at about 8 to 10 yards for the quarterback. He's going to see he can't close the cushion. He can't restack it. So that ball goes back underneath. Okay, here we get to a crosser window. So we look at the weak safety, and the weak safety ends up rolling down and yet playing an invert coverage here in the backside. So with him vacating that landmark right here, all right, we're really going to work to see where we can fit this crosser ball in between the linebackers. So as we see, he does a good job of staying skinny. All right, he works under the first backer and then climbs the second backer. So there's your first backer to go under and then climb over the mic right here. So under Sam, over Mike. And as you get to linebacker depth, you got to give eyes through one of the windows. So this we call a windows drill. If we're getting guys that are spot dropping into underneath windows, we need to give eyes, and our quarterback's going to throw before he's open into the window. The biggest thing is, you're looking at the grass that he's running into, all right, not at where he is. So you got to throw when he's covered and throw him into open space. That's a good job of leading him right into that open window and fitting him into that window on time. So the way we practice that drill is we have 3 to 4 guys standing in the line, and we can either work cross angles or we can work dig angles, where guys will run across when the quarterback gets to the top of his drop. And basically the 4 guys standing there are the defenders. And then on the snap, the guys can step one way or another. So they can move this way, they can separate across, they can get closer together. That way the quarterbacks are working different windows to throw across. It's a great drill to kind of get a feel of when to release that football and when to time it up to where he's in that window when you're releasing it on time. Here's another cross window. So we tagged our outside receiver, our tight end on this route with an arrow route to pull the corner out to really put a 2-on-1 stretch on the safety. So with him yanking out there, our eyes go right to the safety. And what's going to dictate you throwing to the crossers, can we get good leverage to get across his face without him jumping our route? So in this situation, he has a lot of depth still, and then we're able to get across his face. So by a crossover step, we're able to reset and get that ball away from coverage. Another look at the crosser. So they walk their outside linebacker. Here's really their corner. The safety ends up rolling away back to the middle of the field, so our eyes go right to him. As we go right to that part of the progression, as we cross over, we see our crosser is able to get inside leverage of him, and it opens up that space on the opposite side to throw. One more look at the crosser here. Here's with the fast motion out of your backfield to put a faster horizontal stretch on these underneath defenders. Read's still the same for your quarterback. Eyes go right to that safety. We have great leverage on that safety to the opposite hash, so we're able to throw that thing right between those 2 linebackers. Here's a far seam throw. So as we're taking a look here, the crosser's occupied by 2 defenders. So then you work your eyes across to the opposite hash. As we see the opposite hash here, we're able to get restacked so that ball goes over top because there's no safety help to help out over top anymore. One high again. We tag the corner ball with our tight end again. As we see now, the free safety has good leverage on the crosser. He's inside leverage of him. So we yanked him and we occupied that space and we opened up the space back behind him. This boils down to it's a horizontal stretch. We're really trying to stretch these guys sideline to sideline down the field for the secondary. So now we get our one-on-one matchup and we're able to put this ball over top. You can see the outside receiver to this side is getting a bail technique from that corner. So he ends up dropping that route off. If that corner were to carry and keep working on the seam, the quarterback would work that ball right to the dropout if that corner were influencing the outside edge of that seam throw. Last one here, I'm going to show the dropout throw to the field side. So you kind of see how we worked the full progression of working that corner ball. We've worked the crosser. We've worked the far hash. Now you see the corner trying to carry and influence the outside edge of that seam, and it opens up that dropout ball. The one thing I would want is this slot receiver's got to work underneath the first backer and climb. So he got mixed up and ended up running on the wrong landmark and ended up closing the space off and covered himself and the opposite hash. But for the quarterback, that's fine. If your window's closed and you have nothing there, stay on progression, keep moving your eyes through progression, and keep working laterally, horizontally through the read. So those are just two of the ways that we work through and stretch the field vertically. Here's my contact information. If you guys want to ask me any questions, I'm more than welcome to share and work anything to help you guys out. But I appreciate you having me on, Coach, and I'll take any questions right now if you guys have any.
Yeah, great job, Coach. A lot of good stuff there. Guys, got any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple right here. What position does your best receiver typically play for these deep concepts? Any preference? So typically, I'm going to have, if we're going to get in 3-by-1, you got to kind of have to put your best deep ball guy outside, and that's kind of number one to your single receiver side. That's really got to be your guy that can win a fade ball or can big body up and go get something or get a back shoulder. I think that's number one. And then depending on the coverage of your slot receivers, typically we put our best receiver where the bender's going, but it really depends on where they're going to double. So if you're breaking, a team down and they're doubling your crosser, well, let somebody eat that up and take two guys away and go and put your better guy on the outside. So it's playing a stump and stubby look, and they're going to put number two on vertical of your number two receiver. Well, let's put our best guy there. So it really depends on how they're deploying it. And the ways we do it and get our guys in the right spot is, motion your guys, or what I didn't get to was switching your releases. So, if you're getting, 3-by-1 and they're putting their best guy defending the number two vertical, we'll switch your number two and number three on the verticals. Put your number two guy on the crosser, put your number three guy on a wheel up the hash. So you can put him on an isolated situation. So there's a couple different ways you can move your guys to get them in the best best place to take advantage of their skills. But ideally, one of the slot receivers got to be your best slot guy. One of the outside guys has got to be your big body guy. You can have a possession guy on your field side dropout, because typically high school hashes that throw ends up being pretty far, and you get into that throws a little bit less. So typically that's where we kind of lay our guys out. But Coach Segovia, I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun playing those guys. They definitely challenge us to make us better, and they're one of the top programs in the nation, and they definitely push us to to be as good as possible. So it definitely helps us. Any other questions, guys? All right, I think that's about it, Coach.
All right. Hey, thank you, Coach Lowe. I appreciate it. A lot of good stuff there. You probably didn't give you a proper introduction. Coach Lowe obviously is the offensive coordinator, has been for a bit now at St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California. National champions, right? Last year, 2019, number one ranked team in the country. So these guys know how to get it done every year. I mean, it seems like you guys put out an awesome team every year and great coaching staff. I've had a chance to hook up with you guys a couple times, and Coach Lowe, when things get back to normal, I got to get back out to Bellflower and have some of them fish tacos that we smashed that one day. So
oh man, anytime.
Yeah. So how you guys doing over there, Coach?
We're good. I mean, just we did like a video virtual spring ball and got a chance to put some stuff in and meet with our guys. We're in our dead period right now, so we'll see. I mean, right now there's a lot of things up in the air, and with neighboring states opening up, it's at least helping our case, and hopefully the numbers still keep going down and we're able to go back out there and go be with our boys again and go have some fun, because I think everyone's chomping at the bit right now to get back out there and have at it.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's without question. everybody on this line I know would love to be out there running around with our guys. You
No
you
doubt.
run the strength program too, right?
Yeah, I'm the strength condition coordinator.
How are you guys managing that?
What we wrote basically weighted programs and body weight programs, and we're basically you know meeting with our guys. We're meeting our guys while the school season was still going on and kind of filling them in. But it's up to our guys to go get it done. And the good thing is we have a lot of guys that are motivated to do great things, and they want to go out there and they want to get better. The biggest thing for us is just keeping the running portion up. That's the part that I feel like drops off the fastest. I feel like when we get back, we're going to be able to put strength back on our guys and get them back going. But man, that speed work, if you sleep on it for a second, it goes real quickly. So
Right.
just preaching to our guys to stick with our running program, and depending on what you have, you can always find a space to run
Right.
and still get
Right.
some good
Right.
quality work.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. I know everybody's busy, and I know you're busy, and um, I always appreciate talking ball with you, and
Likewise,
appreciate you
coach.
coming on and spending some time with our guys. We've got guys from all over the country on right now, so it's really pretty
That's awesome.
exciting. It's
Yeah.
really pretty cool to see this thing go, and it's guys like you and the speakers that we've had already this morning, and guys we got coming up tonight and all day tomorrow. It's guys like you that they really make this thing go, and I know everybody. I can speak for everybody. We appreciate your time, and good luck out there. Stay safe, and maybe we'll hook up soon.
Likewise, coach. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and we'll get back to action soon enough, and hopefully we can still keep on connecting and still
Yeah,
sharing that knowledge. It's been a pretty amazing time. So I appreciate it,
yeah,
coach.
that's it. All right,
Yep.
buddy. Thanks, Coach. I
All right.
appreciate you.
Take care. Have a good one, guys.
See ya.